Okay, this listing we found on Zillow tells you all you need to know about the crazy real estate market and the housing crisis, especially in places like South Florida and other places around the country. Here's a house in Boca Raton, Florida, which is an admittedly affluent area. It is a relatively middle-class area in most of the city. There are very high net worth and affluent individuals that live in Boca Raton. Much of the city, though, is regular, everyday workers and families that have lived there for 15, 20, 30 years. This home is a 1,700 square foot house, probably built in the 60s or 70s. There was a lot of these areas that had small lots, small little houses, originally designed kind of like for beach houses. And this house is listed for $1.1 million. And you might think, well, isn't that what houses cost in Boca Raton? Well, in some areas, there's $10 or $15 million houses. This one, however, if you look at the history, back in 2005 was $385,000. And 7 years later, it was at $463,000. So it went up a decent amount. It went up, maybe 20%, 25% over the course of maybe 7 years. So that's maybe 3 or 4% a year, which is the normal increase. Ended up selling in 2018 for $467,000. And then it looks like 2 years later, it was listed for rent for $7,000. A month, not even, 7 days after that, the listing was removed. So presumably, somebody rented the house maybe 2 weeks after it was listed for $7,000 per month for rent. Now, fast forward, not even 2 years after that, a year and a half later. Presumably, if this lease was executed on 11/6/2020, 1 year lease would have been 11/6/2021. Maybe they stayed an extra month or two. Maybe the house was refurbished. But now it's for sale for $1.1 million. It's more than doubled the price it sold for 4 years ago. A double in 4 years. It's like 25% increase per year. Now, all of that didn't happen in the first couple years. Most of it probably happened in the last 2 years. Is it a nice house? Certainly it is. Upgraded furnishings, pool, clean, good condition. But it is $1 million house with 1,700 square feet. It's not waterfront, not oceanfront. It's not luxury in terms of being a mansion. It's not huge. Many people watching this video live in a house bigger than 1,700 square feet. But this tells you what the supply and demand and lack of inventory is doing to many markets. All this is about is demand. There are people moving from all over the country, mostly in the East Coast, Northeast, Midwest, into Florida. And of all the places in Florida to live, Southeast Florida seems to be the most appealing because you're close to Fort Lauderdale, close to Miami. There's good jobs. The weather is as good as it's going to get. And because of that, there's more people coming in than there are houses available. So people are willing to pay whatever they need to. A mortgage payment on this house is $6,206. Well, that's less than the rent. So this house had a monthly budget value of $7,000 that was paid for at least a year, maybe more. Somebody evaluated that it's worth spending $7,000 to live in this house in this area. It wasn't just because of the sales price. Somebody wanted to rent it for that. So now when somebody wants to buy it, they're going to pay an estimated mortgage payment of $6,206. Probably be a little more with taxes and insurance. But usually mortgage is more than rent by a small amount. You're going to see the same thing in many areas of the country, even inland areas, places in metro Atlanta, North Georgia. You might see a double of value since 2018. Houses that were 300 or 400,000 might now be 700. Places in North Texas, north of Dallas, that were 400,000 now might be 8, or at least 650, 700. You're seeing places in Arizona, in Sunbelt states, North Carolina, that are maybe not a double in 4 years, but maybe a 1.5. A house that was 200 is now 350, 400 or more. The lower end houses jump in price on a percentage basis more because it doesn't change the budget as much. But this house is a perfect example. 467 to 1.1 in less than 4 years, or roughly 4 years. That's more than a double. 467 times 2 is like 900. Now this house may not sell for 1.1, may sell for just under $1 million, because it is the highest price in this neighborhood. But it didn't shy away this person from asking the amount. If you ask that amount, if it's way overpriced, you're not going to have anybody look at it. At least their realtor and this person believe that putting a $1 million price tag on this house was at least close enough to reality that they could do it with a straight face. So as you're looking for houses, you're going to find these values are up. And this is even in an interest rate environment where the rates are now 5, 5.5, sometimes 6%, where even 2-3 years ago they were 2 or 3%. So the payment's going to be higher based on that rate. Now, a lot of these buyers are cash buyers. Maybe somebody who sold their house in North Jersey, upstate New York, for $700,000, $800,000. They had mostly equity. You put down $500,000 or $600,000. You have a payment on $500,000. It'd be about half this, maybe $2,500. So if you take your equity, your $500,000 from your sale price house, put it as a down payment, you have a $2,000 or $2,500 monthly payment. Well, that's what most people pay in rent, a couple grand. So that's why these prices are materializing, because people are only worried about their monthly budget, where they live. How much a month? Where am I living? And this is a perfect way to see somebody do the math to get there. Don't expect it's going to change anytime soon, because people still want to move places that are desirable where there's not enough houses, which is pretty much everywhere. There's not enough houses everywhere. And they're not building any more land. Land is what it is. There may be some empty lots you could put a house on, but construction costs now to build this house, 1,700 square foot house, you might pay $300 a square foot to build a house like this. Well, that's going to put you well in the, close to $600,000 for building cost. What's this lot going to cost you? If you wanted to buy an empty lot in Boca Raton, it's going to cost you $250 or $300. So if you take 1,700 square feet times $300 a square foot, put you close to $6. You have a $300,000 lot. That's $9. So that's not too far away from the selling price. Not counting site work, permits, those kind of things. You might be close to $1 million to replace this house if you wanted to build something, if you could find a lot to build on. So the math hits the same number no matter which way you look at it. The rent factor hits it. The replacement cost hits it. The value for living area hits it. And replacement of a house from another part of the country with equity does the same thing. Put your comments below. Let us know what you think and how the real estate market is affecting you.